What's up? What's up? What's up, y'all? Welcome to Eat, Cry, Yap Day. It's your girl, Kenalia, coming back with yaps, chats, and all the good things that you want to talk about because we have some catch up to do, y'all. I did not have an episode for y'all last week, but don't worry, it was for a special occasion. It was my birthday week, y'all. Your girl turned 28, and I'm not gonna lie, it feels like a little surreal to say that. I feel grown as fuck. That's how I feel. If you're wondering, that's how I'm feeling. I'm feeling a very like adult era. It's giving grown woman era. And when I was thinking about what I wanted to do for my birthday this year, I didn't really want to do the most. And I know for those of you who know me personally, that was like a little bit of a shocker because your girl is a recovering birthday aholic. I mean, I've done something for my birthday every year that I can count. Like, it definitely, I was the kind of person that, like, it's my birthday, it's my whole personality for that whole entire week. Like, it was the whole thing. And when thinking about one, I mean, I definitely got that from my parents and I loved that. When I was born, actually, like, I was born a very sick baby. Like, I nearly died, y'all. Like, not to get dramatic, but like, your girl almost was not here. I was born very small and very sick and had something called an pneumothorax. Still to this day, I really don't know what that means, but it was very serious. And to attempt to save my life, my mom, oh my goodness, the way she tells the story is so good. But like, there was like a nurse who like shoved a big ass needle in my tiny body and collapsed one of my lungs, and so I had to be rushed to a whole separate hospital, and I was in the intensive care unit for some time. Like, my parents could not hold me. They could only look at me through a case. Like, imagine this tiny ass baby in this huge case with like a bunch of things, a bunch of needles, like wires, you name it. And they were scared that like I was not going to survive, but thankfully I did. And 28 years later, your girl is here to tell the story. And when I think back on like why I've always been so extra about my birthdays, is because of my parents. Like, I mean, my parents clearly had a huge reason to celebrate when my birthday came around because the doctors told my parents that, like, even if I do survive, like, I will be sick for the rest of my life and I'll have all of these health issues and all of these things. And thankfully, none of what they predicted happened to me. And my birthday was just always such a momentous occasion, like, from a young age. And then naturally, me being the extra girl that I am, I would take it to another level and would do the most. But this year, while I've been in such an adult part of my life, your girl had to work. I mean, I had a bunch of shit to do, and I also just wasn't in the mood to do something extra. And so I was like, well, what is one way? Because I'm not gonna celebrate. You know what I mean? Like, your birthday only comes around once a year. And so I was like, well, I think I want to like cross something off of my bucket list. And something that was on my bucket list for all of my life, honestly, was I wanted to buy myself my first luxury bag. Now, there are levels to luxury bags, and I wanted like I wanted to be able to like save up to buy like a luxury. Okay, like we talking like brands, like you sniff money vibes, you know what I mean? And so this year felt like the perfect year to do that. And so I made a little appointment, and my friend and I went to the YSL store after work and had a cute little shopping experience. Like, if you were ever, I have to say, like, I 10 out of 10 recommend it, y'all. Like, if you were ever interested in like buying a luxury bag, call ahead and schedule an appointment, because that will, one, save you time perusing and browsing a bunch of bags that you probably don't even want to look at. And it's a very tailored experience. At least mine was. Like, the person who I spoke to sent me her work number, asked me to text her the styles I was interested in. And when I got in there, she had bags lined up for me to like view. She also brought out some other styles that like she thought I would be interested in based on the bags I showed her. But of course, she saved the bag that I really wanted, the one that was on the top of my list, for the end. She actually had it on hold for me, which was so special because it was the last one that they had. They even had champagne for me. Like, it was such a rich white woman experience. Let's be fucking honest. And we deserve. And so, again, I recommend it. I definitely felt like it was worth, although it was a little pretty bitty, I felt like it was worth it all in all for like the experience, for the vibes, for the customer service I got. And they gift wrapped that bad boy for me and gave me a beautiful YSL bag. That thing was long though. So, I had to walk out like I was my own security guard and hide that bad boy because your girl was walking around downtown Portland trying to get back to her car with that bag. Y'all should have seen me. You would have thought that, like, I mean, I was carrying precious cargo, but holy shit, man, I have never been that nervous transporting something that I just purchased to my car. But, unfortunately, you just never know. And so that really made my birthday so special. I think being able to do something nice for myself and do something that, like, I've wanted to, like, and that like I've worked hard to like earn. It was just such like a cute little like accomplishment, and like also just felt very grown. Like I felt like that was like my ode to my grown era that I've been like in and like stepping into. And so 28 feels great, y'all. Like it doesn't feel scary. It doesn't feel like, oh, I'm almost 30. It just kind of feels like, yeah, like I'm a grown ass bitch. I've been grown doing the thing for a little bit now. And yeah, it feels like I'm kind of ready for like what comes my way this year. And so it was a great birthday week to say the least. And then like I ended the week going to dinner with my family, and I'm celebrating some more birthdays this weekend. So actually today, it's so funny. So today we are surprising my cousin. Her birthday is this week, and I feel so like I'm so happy I can talk about this on this podcast because by the time this comes out, the surprise would have already happened. But she's wanted a surprise for so long now, and this girl has no idea that this is happening, and I'm just so excited to like see her face when we're all at dinner tonight celebrating her. It's gonna be so cute. I'll report back to y'all next week on how the surprise unfolded and how it went. But I'm gonna save that story for next week. So, anyways, while I was, taking a little break and soaking in all the birthday vibes, your girl was catching up on reality TV. And so I wanted to save some time during What's the Tea to do a little reality TV catch up, because in the reality TV shows that I have been watching, shit has been happening or it hasn't. And I have some thoughts about it. Now, to start us off, while I was on my birthday vibes, your girl was catching up on her reality TV faves. Your girl has to talk about Love is Blind because, whew, I mean, I never thought I would see the day where we would have a Love is Blind season that is a true blue snooze fest. Wait, I'm cackling, not blue. It's giving snooze fest, y'all. It's giving, do I even want to finish this season? I mean, from the lack of storylines to the very non-diverse casting to the grasping for straw drama. I mean, I don't know that this season, no, I think this might be the worst season of Love is Blind that I've seen personally, because I feel like every other season, for the most part, had more diversity and the drama was giving, like what you want a love reality TV show to give. But this one, it's just boring. It's very vanilla. I'm like not behooved or like in love with like any of these couples, which is also difficult because I feel like every season, everyone has at least like one or two couples that like they can relate to, where their stories are just so captivating. But this season really gave like, this could have been an email. Like, this is who y'all casted. Y'all, it's bad. And they just released the last chunk of episodes before the reunion, I believe. And y'all, I'm halfway into episode 9 or 10, I believe. And y'all, I'm struggling. Like, I don't know that No, I don't believe that this season was worth airing, and I'll tell you why. I feel like, again, when it comes to staple reality TV shows, you need the concoction, you need the drama, you need the attractive people and the semi-attractive people, you need the relatable storylines, and you also need captivating love stories, specifically for Love is Blind. And this season, I can't tell you which one out of those contents that I just told y'all this season has, because it's really not giving any of that. And maybe it's because me personally, I'm just not behooved by vanilla love stories. Like, that's just not my jam. And I think it's also because, like, personally, I've never had a vanilla love story. So, like, I don't relate to that. But maybe for some viewers, they love that shit. But for me, no. Like, I'm watching reality TV to be entertained, to laugh at other people. That's so shitty, but it's true. And also to like have some like juicy things to talk with about my friends. Like I feel like that's what makes reality TV like so great, is that like there's always some messy shit or some crazy shit that like is probably worse than what's going on in your own life. So like it's very entertaining and also like very easy to chat with your friends about. And this was not a chat worthy season, and Love is Why needs to do better. For them to be having all these people from previous casts casting, maybe that was the error, because the season is not giving, and I'm afraid that like the reunion is not going to be enough to save it. Now, I will say that typically within a Love is Blind season, one of the most watchable and entertaining episodes, number one, is always like one or two of the pod episodes, right? Where you first fall in love with the couples. Number two is like the honeymoon, when like they first get there. Number three, it's when all the couples who got engaged meet each other for the first time on the beach. Number four, it is the episode when all of the couples, whether they are engaged or not, meet each other for the first time. That is the only episode I feel like this season that would give enough to be like, okay, well, I guess it was worth watching up until this point. But because I'm so bored, I don't think I'm gonna watch it, y'all. If other people watch the reunion and they tell me it's giving, maybe I'll watch. But like, I'm just so disappointed by this season. But all in all, like, I wish I could have taken all the time back that I had watching this show to like dedicate to other things. That's how I feel about Love is Blind. I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are on Love is Blind this season. Now, moving on into the Bravo sphere of reality TV, your girl has to talk about the the show that is being called the new Vanderpump Rules. Now, I know that that is probably a controversial thing to say, because VPR, aka Vanderpump Rules, was one of the most iconic reality TV shows for like millennials growing up watching, because of the young cast and the chaos that ensued with this cast. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Vanderpump Rules is one of the most iconic Bravo shows, as I said, and it followed an ensemble cast of young people who worked at Lisa Vanderpump from Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. It followed her staff and their stories of like dating each other and drama that ensued amongst the friendship and the lies, the sex, the scandal, you name it, it happened on that show. So anyways, that show became a cultural phenomenon for years and reached its peak, dare I say, last year or the year before, when the Scandival scandal broke out. I mean, everybody was talking about it, from TMZ to CNN. Now, I feel like never before had we seen a reality TV show reach the CNN heights, because it's not giving world news. But the scandal of it all was so insane, because one of like the core castmates cheated on his partner of 10 years with another girl in the friend group. And the way the cheating unfolded and how they had lied to her for months, and like the girl was like trying to convince the other girl to bring it, like it was a whole thing. So the show really reached its like peak popularity during that time, although it had been popular for so long. Like back in its early days, people like Lady Gaga were watching Vanderpump Rules, and like they were definitely popular, but like it became a world news in 2023 when it happened. So anyways, Vanderpump Rules is not coming back for another season with this cast, at least. They will be recasting, apparently. TBD on when that's happening. There's still like rumblings going on in the streets. But because the show took a shitty turn after Scandival and the cast just trying to like either repair or break up after the backlash of what happened, the show kind of reached a point where like there wasn't really a storyline anymore. So in comes the making of Southern Hospitality, which actually came out, I believe, during the final season with the most recent cast of Vanderpump Rules. Southern Hospitality came out. And Southern Hospitality follows Leva Bonaparte and is basically the Southern version of Vanderpump Rules. Vanderpump Rules is based on employees at a restaurant in California. Southern Hospitality is based on an ensemble cast of employees at Leva's establishment called Republic. And they are in South Carolina, I believe. Now, this show is a different vibe in terms of it follows castmates in a nightclub. It's not a restaurant bar, it's a nightclub. So you have very, very young people, like much younger than the current cast of Vanderpump, because of course Vanderpump was around from the time all of them were in their early 20s to now a lot of them are in their 40s or late 30s. Southern Hospitality is like a fresh Vanderpump Rules. You're following these people navigating their early 20s and relationships and like their career, figuring out where they stand in this nightclub and the inner workings of like their relationships. That show is now 2 seasons in and it's been giving. What I really love about this season so far is that we have 2 people of color that are both a part of the LGBTQIA plus community, and they are navigating a space in where, you know, they haven't come out to all of their family and struggling with like family dynamics while, you know, they don't feel comfortable being themselves. I really love seeing more diverse stories, and I feel that Southern Hospitality has been providing that. They've also been providing the drama. There's this girl who has been notoriously cheated on by her mans, and her friends are constantly trying to let her know this whenever they find out, and homegirl could not be further convinced that he is not her husband and he can do no wrong. Like, the level of delulu is just insane. And then we have like a little mix of like, you know, romance drama as well as like coworker to coworker drama. Like, I just feel like you get a little bit of like early 20s chaos personally while seeing it. And so I'm really loving this season. We are right up until the finale. The finale episode is coming out, and I have to say season 2 has really been giving fresh faces, fresh stories. The cast is a little different this season compared to season 1, and I just really love seeing in what has been kind of portrayed as like a fairly white city, seeing more diverse faces and stories being brought to the forefront. So if you have not seen Southern Hospitality, I 10 out of 10 recommend it. If you are into a Vanderpump Rules style show, that show is for you. You can watch it on Bravo TV, or if you're watching on streaming services, you can check it out on Peacock TV, where they have a direct link to Bravo. So anything that's on Bravo is probably on Peacock, but I believe it's only on Peacock Premium. So for my friends, hit me up if you want my password. I will definitely hook you up. Now, moving on to 2 more shows I got to talk about. We got to talk about Married to Medicine, because this is probably one of the messiest seasons I have seen on this show. Because no, they did not bring back Apollo from RHOA. Now, if you don't know what I'm talking about, Married to Medicine is a reality TV show that follows doctors and their spouses. And they're all a part of this friend group, and there's always drama within like a unique relationship or between friend dynamics or between marriages. Like, it really gives insight into the doctoral practice in the South, as well as middle-aged marriages / friendships, and navigating all of that on top of like their families and their personal issues and life, to be honest. And on this season, Phaedra Parks came back as a regular. Although she deaf ain't no doctor, but deaf isn't even dating a doctor this season. She's just there for ratings, let's be honest. And messy Dr. Heavenly brought Phaedra's ex-husband to the show on a couple's trip. And the drama that ensued with that, on top of another couple, a newer couple, Miss Quad, her ex-husband came on the trip. Now, to be fair, Quad and her ex-husband are both regular castmates. However, they have new partners. And this was the first time they were all shooting scenes together. And so, of course, shit popped off because her ex-husband is clearly not over her. And she is definitely clearly not healed from what happened between them. And you've got Quad's ex-husband and Quad's new man's fighting on the beach. I mean, this is some shit that I expect from like the TV shows where there are much younger people. I have never been so shocked in my life to see older people fighting. Like, that was just something I was not prepared for. Like, I feel like you don't really see that often. And on that note, it was kind of disheartening. But on the other note, it was heavily concocted by Heavenly and the producers, I feel. But also, alcohol was involved. And so tensions were even heightened. And so I personally am concerned about the future of this group. Like, I don't know that post the couples trip, I don't believe that it would be a good decision for Quad's ex-husband and his new wife, or Quad and her man's. Like, I feel like someone's gonna have to go. Like, you cannot be on a show with your toxic ex-husband and have to be in situations with them if neither one of you have like done the work on yourselves. And it was clear and evident that they have a lot of bad blood and that their partners are also very hot-headed. And so it was not a good concoction for positivity. And so I just don't think that the group will be a whole like strong front. I think that there are now even more fractures than there were before. And it'll be interesting to see how the group recovers from this. And I think the reunion, because of that, is going to be so good. Like, there's just something about when there's a messy season on a Bravo TV show. Like, the reunion is like the Super Bowl for Bravo fans. Like, if you know, you know. And so I cannot wait for this season's reunion to come out because, baby, it's going to be messy. Okay. Now, finally, I got to talk a little bit about RHOP, which is the Real Housewives of Potomac, because we're at the end of the season, y'all. Part 3 of the reunion is coming out this week. And to be honest, y'all, this was probably my least favorite season of Real Housewives of Potomac. And I think a big part of that is because, for one, I think Candace was missing. Although I'm happy that Candace chose her peace and decided to prioritize her family because she just had a baby, I really missed her on this season of Real Housewives of Potomac because she just adds to the dynamic so much and gives us that little extra umph that the group needs. However, I am happy that Robin's ass is gone. Okay, we did not need the green-eyed bandits no more. Like, they just gave like mean girl energy, and I definitely think Robin held Giselle back from making progress with other girls in the group like Wendy. And this season we really saw Giselle and Wendy make up and move forward, which we haven't seen them do in a long time. However, was the makeup authentic, or was it just to keep their flutes and keep their spot on the show? I think it was more heavily that, because look, Giselle was left without her green-eyed bandit partner. So what was she going to do? She was going to have to make alliances. And everyone else in the group is cool with Wendy except for Giselle. And so Giselle was going to have to play nice. And so I definitely think it was a very strategic move, but it was really good to see them move forward, because this season as well, Giselle has been very, very, very nice, which is very shocking. However, the Grand Dame, we're talking about Karen Huger, the Grand Dame is going to jail, y'all, and I cannot believe it. However, there had been talks for a long time, like the girls would definitely bring up the fact that she had multiple DUIs in their arguments in the past, and so it's definitely giving that like her behavior was catching up to her. But at the end of the day, it's always sad. Like, you never want to see, especially on TV, you never want to see like your favorite TV personalities go to jail, especially when like they have redeeming qualities. It's just sad. She's going to jail for 1 year. And so she was not at the reunion, but that was actually because she checked herself into rehab. But I feel like Karen has heavily rode the train of like, I'm not an alcoholic, I'm not an alcoholic, but like you have multiple DUIs, baby. And your whole going to jail because of your multiple offenses. Like, we've got to take some accountability here. Like, we've got to, the writing is on the wall. You know what I mean? And so just a week ago, actually, she turned herself in and I believe started her sentence. And so we will not see her in the next season of The Real Housewives of Potomac. But from what I'm seeing on the social media blogs, Bravo is still planning to move forward with next season of The Real Housewives of Potomac. And I'm shocked because, again, this season was not giving what previous seasons have given. So I am very shocked to hear that Potomac is not like taking a pause for next year like they did when Teresa Giudice went to jail for a year. Like, I feel like that would have made more sense. However, I could see Bravo's trying to fight to keep another Black ensemble cast because Real Housewives of Atlanta is coming back and had a lot of issues in this comeback era. And a lot of people are not really feeling the new cast and feeling the drama tea that has been spilling on social media. So mind you, RHOA does not come back until March 9th. So we still have not seen this season, but from the different things that have happened up to this point, like Kenya was removed from being a full-time cast member, so they say, for doing some shady things on the season, and there not being a lot of like previous cast members, fans are not really super hyped, on top of the fact that the trailer for this season was not giving. And so I feel like Bravo's in a space where they're like, we have to keep Potomac because Potomac is a fan favorite, and if RHOA flops, we're gonna need to ensure that we still have a franchise of The Real Housewives that is representative of our viewers. And so I feel like it's going to be a thing where RHOA and RHOP are going to be fighting for like that number one Black reality housewives show. Because for years, Atlanta held that title back in the Nene days. But then when RHOP came, were cast shakeups on RHOA, the Potomac franchise took it. But now we're in another transitional period. And so all that to say, it will be a very, very interesting year for the Black Housewives shows on Bravo because we have these cast shakeups happening on both, and both are in a place where like they're gonna have to build from the ground up low key because a lot of their big names are no longer on the show. It will be interesting to see how the seasons unfold. All right, y'all. That is just my little reality recap for the day. I'm so curious what y'all's thoughts are on these shows. If you're watching, if you are not watching, you need to watch because these shows are juicy. These shows are good. If you love reality TV or want to be a reality TV girly, I 10 out of 10 recommend you check out one or two of these shows. Now, when I was thinking about what I wanted to talk about this week, I was literally talking to my friends. We're talking about situationships. And I feel like situationships are probably the most common form of like dating relationships these days in like the millennial to like right after millennial like age range. And the dynamics of these forms of relationships are so interesting and so complicated that I felt like this was a good like part one conversation to have about this. And I definitely like eventually want to bring in like hopefully like some sort of like relationship expert to talk about like the psychology behind it. But this will just be a part one, like my random ass thoughts on the topic. But I feel like situationships are way too common these days. And personally, I feel like they are the downfall of our generation. But if you're curious, if you've never been in a situationship or like this term is new to you, a situationship, it is not always, it can't be categorized as a monogamous relationship necessarily. It can't be categorized as a committed relationship necessarily. It really is a case by case basis. And which makes me curious, you know, who even coined the term situationships, but it just works to categorize so many dating relationships that so many of us have in this day and age. And a situationship is essentially a situation to where you're dating someone, right? You're getting to know them. You are doing essentially all of the things that you would do if this person was your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your partner, whatever you want to call them. You're going on the dates. You're talking all the time. There's physical intimacy if that's your jam. You are meeting their friend. Like all of the relationship steps that you can think of, the natural ones, that's happening. However, someone in this situation does not want to commit fully by taking that extra step of having that conversation like, hey, I want you to be my partner, or hey, I want to take this to the next level. There's always that resistance from another partner, or like, I've got a lot going on. I just want to like keep things where they are. Like there's a heavy emphasis on just like not wanting to move that relationship to the next level, which would be to cement what that relationship is, and instead getting all of the benefits of a relationship, but not wanting the pressure or the responsibility of committing to that person, actually. And I feel like these forms of relationships truly are the downfall of our generation, because these straight men sure want to have their cake and eat it too. They want a woman to do all of the things for them. They want all of the relationship perks, but they do not want to be actually committed to that person. They don't want to make that person their partner, because that would mean that now I have to be held accountable to do the work. Now I owe something to them. It's almost like there's a higher tick in commitment issues than I personally have ever seen. And when I think about what dating used to be like back in the day, like from what I've heard from older generations, like dating was so much simpler than it is in today's age. I mean, you were courting for some time, and while you're courting, you're getting to know the person's family. In some cases, in a lot of cases, the family was attending the dates with y'all. But there were steps in a relationship that everyone knew that there were, and people were taking those steps because they wanted to settle down, have a family, have the white picket fence, all that jazz. But over time, like the 70s and different times where like there was more fluidity to dating, I feel like that's when the nature of dating, like over time, the nature of dating really changed, because people started to feel the freedom to step outside of the norm. People were not in spaces anymore to where dating had to be this structured thing, and we have to build up to marriage and kids and all of that. I feel like over time the dating culture started regressing backwards, and instead became more focused on, I'm just going to do what I need to do to get what I want. And with that has come so much complication around dating. Like, I remember back in college, it's so funny. When me and my friends, we were all like dating at the same time, like all going on dates, getting to know different guys. And we were talking about the different phases in relationships. And at that time, this was between 2016 and 2019. At that time, the dating stages were, you're like you're getting to know someone slash you're talking. Like you're just talking, i.e. you're dating. There's the getting to know slash talking stage, which in like normal terms in reality is you're getting to know someone, right? There's that talking stage, and then there's the exclusive stage. It's, I'm just only talking to you. And then there's the relationship point. And then there's, okay, now I want you to be my boyfriend and girlfriend. And then it's like steps were added to the dating stages. We're not dating, we're just talking. I'm just talking to you. But you could be talking to anybody. And then it's, okay, I'll exclusively talk to you. Instead of, look, we're going to date and then we're going to decide if we want to be together, and then we'll move on from there. Like more and more people have been scared of commitment. I feel like that's where situationships truly stem from. It's just a pure fear of commitment. And To protect ourselves, we add stages to the dating experience that further and further remove any sort of responsibility or owing something to the other person so that you can have a clean break whenever you want to. But what ultimately ends up happening is somebody or both people end up catching feelings if the situationship lasts longer than a month, right? Like, we're human. Like, if you spend enough time with somebody and you've got chemistry, attraction, you align on similar values, there are going to be feelings that foster. But the person in the relationship who's scared of commitment will be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, even if the relationship naturally gets to a spot and space where you've had development. Y'all are not just kicking it once a week. Maybe y'all are kicking it multiple times a week. Y'all aren't just having surface level conversation. Y'all are talking about hopes and dreams. Like, there are no guardrails around situationships. And more times than not, situationships get very, very murky. And oh, do I know that so well. Let me tell y'all a story. So there's this guy who I dated off and on for 4 years. That was my longest situationship ever. We had never said that like we're girlfriend and boyfriend, but like we were basically exclusively only seeing each other and like having all of those relationship progressions. However, I was in a space in my life where like I was heavy like I can fix a man. My empath in me made my love goggles thick, man. Like, I'm talking thick. Like, them love goggles were so thick, they never wanted to come off. Like, there was no switching them on and off when it came to him. And it was a tale as old as time to where, like, he would fuck up a lot. Or he would have issues and he would ghost. Or he'd be going through something and then would ghost, but then would come back with some grandiose explanation. And I think what made the situation so difficult was the fact that there were deep feelings on both sides. However, he heavily struggled with commitment and had been in a long-term relationship. Actually, it was a marriage. It wasn't a relationship. He had been in a long-term marriage before we met. And I didn't find out until quite a few months into us dating that like he was recently married. That was huge. And so a lot of issues that we ran into were his struggles with commitment, the fact that he ghosted me multiple times, and 3, the fact that every time we got to a point where there were significant developments within the situation, that's when something would happen with him. That's when it felt too close for comfort. That's when all of a sudden he's going through some that's like it was like clockwork. And it's difficult where you're in a situation to where you not only like someone so much, but you care for them so deeply. The love goggles are damn near glued on at that point. And I remember the nail in the coffin for me was when I gave him, I don't know, the 30th second chance ever after like we hadn't spoken in quite some time. We were like not speaking at all. We had like reconnected at work. It was a whole thing. We were just like casually communicating, like it wasn't even a thing. And this man's, I found out like around that time that he was an alcoholic. And this isn't me laughing at him being an alcoholic, it's me laughing at like the audacity of what he asked from me. He was a whole alcoholic and I dropped that bomb on me and then asked me if I would be willing to put my name down as like on the call list because he was going to like an inpatient AA program. And this was after like I was like getting out of my anger towards him and like us breaking up for like the 30th time. And right as soon as we start communicating again, you asked me to go out of my way to be there for you when on multiple occasions you were nowhere to be found when I needed you. And that is just like a small glimpse into like the messiness and grayness around situationships, because within that dynamic, it's safe to the person who struggles with commitment, because again, they don't owe you anything, but they're still getting everything they want out of you because that is their prerogative. And for the person who wants commitment and who doesn't struggle with committing with things, if there are feelings involved for them, it's harder for them to navigate and get what they need out of the situation, because truly the person who struggles with commitment is holding the reins. And so I feel like the culture of dating now really promoting self-satisfaction, very self-focused mindset instead of like a healthy, mutually beneficial relationship dynamic. I think the situationship dynamic is harmful if you were not aligned on what your end goal is. And so another thing we often see in situationships is a lack of alignment. Because in the most common case, you'll have two people that are saying they're interested. But at some point, somebody realizes, I don't think this is actually what I want anymore. I don't think I'm ready for a relationship, or I don't think this relationship dynamic is for me. For the other person who wants a relationship, who likes that person, it comes off as if there was a major switch up, or that intentions were not genuine from the beginning. When oftentimes in dating, you change your mind. Dating is all about figuring out what the hell you like and don't like, which is why the dating experience is so important. It's difficult when people change their mind, period, because all you have to go off of when getting to know someone is what they tell you that they're looking for, and then their actions following that. And if someone's actions are showing you that they like you, if their efforts are showing that and that they also want a relationship, it's really hurtful when their mind changes, right? Because it gives like, well, damn, like, why didn't you tell me that sooner? Why didn't you let me know? And a perspective that like my eyes were recently opened up to are that it's perfectly okay for people to change their minds, and it's natural and needs to happen during the dating phase. I mean, shit, imagine if you are holding a relationship with someone for years and they change their mind. Ooh, the heartbreak. Ooh, the betrayal. Like, I'd be sick. It can be difficult to allow room for error or the natural things that happen in dating, like people changing their mind or actually trying to figure out what they're looking for. And they might not have a straight answer for you. It can be difficult, but my mind is opening more and more to the perspective of being a bit more empathetic, and not as I hate men towards men, because if the situation were in reverse, I would want empathy. I would want room to figure out what I want. But I think communication is key, regardless of where you're at and what you're looking for. Communication is like probably the best thing you can do. And I think relationships just naturally run their course however they do. And people need to protect themselves the best way that they can. But that's the thing. I feel like dating and experience really opens your mind to learn a lot about like not just other people, but yourself. While people can be shitty, everyone is not shitty. And everyone comes into situations with different cards that they're dealt. And it's up to you to decide which cards from their deck are you willing to accept into yours, and which ones are you not. I feel like that's kind of like a big name of the game. And I pride myself on being open-minded, but boy, was I closed-minded on some things. And it just naturally comes from being hurt. But I think that we have to allow room for grace and empathy for the dating experience and all that comes with it, as long as it's coming from a respectful place. And I say that in all caps, because respect costs you nothing. And I mean, I can go on a tangent about how disrespectful men are, but I feel like it just has to start and end with respect and communication. And so I really appreciate my friends for those perspectives because, boy, have I written off quite a few people. I mean, for other reasons as well, but I think we all need grace in trying to figure out what we want, because if you're not doing that while you're dating, I feel like that can come out much later in life in the midst of relationships. And that to me is kind of a worst case scenario in my perspective. And so all of that to say, I think that the dating landscape in this day and age is just so interesting. And I think situationships, being trendy as they are, I think they are so harmful for the hopeless romantic monogamous girlies who truly want commitment. I think it is so harmful because the leeches often latch on to the hopeless romantic girlies. And so I'm curious what y'all's thoughts are on situationships. Do we think they're harmful, or do we think that they're actually beneficial? Because a lot of people ain't trying to get married these days. Like, it's kind of a convenient way to date for some. So then you can get to know multiple people. Like, I've heard that perspective as well. So sound off either in the comments or on my Instagram at ECY_podcast and let me know y'all's thoughts on this topic. This is definitely going to be a continued topic. As I said, I want to bring in different perspectives on this dating topic and different elements of dating. Like, a lot of people are talking about non-monogamy these days, ethical non-monogamy. And so I kind of want this to be an ever-evolving series that I touch on in this podcast in some form of fashion. So let me know how y'all are feeling about it. We all know the deal. Go ahead and follow this podcast on YouTube and Spotify. Hit that subscribe button. Rate these podcasts. Let these publishers know that y'all are enjoying this podcast. And I can't wait to see y'all next week. Be safe, be kind, and have a great Wednesday, y'all. Bye.